Good morning, boys and girls. This is Madam Colleen, and today we have a new topic. So today's topic is sentences. What is a sentence? How can you make sentences? How can you read sentences? That's what we're going to talk about today. So today's topic is sentences. I'm going to put it right here so that you can remember what we're talking about. So in class PP and even in Madam Colleen's class, you learned what are the letters. So you know the letters of the alphabet. You can see them all behind me, A, B, C, D. These are all letters, and letters make sounds, right? So we know that the letter C makes the sound K, A makes the sound A, and T makes the sound T. But we don't just go around saying K, T, A. We don't make sounds. We put those sounds together to make words. So K, A, T. We put the sounds together and it makes the word cat. Very good. So that's pretty easy. So then we put the sounds together to make a word, and then we put the words together to make a sentence. So we have lots and lots of words that we put together to make sentences. So we have been making flashcards. So you should have a lot of flashcards that you've been making at home. So I'm going to use the flashcards that we've made for our lessons to put them together to make sentences. So watch me do that. So this one, you should know what this word is. The. So, the. And then I have another word that you've already made a flashcard for this. Sun. You've already made a flashcard for this one too. Is hot. So I put all of those words together to make a sentence. So let's read it. The sun is hot. The sun is hot is a sentence because it makes sense and you can read it. Now sentences are a complete thought. It makes sense. It's when you put words together and it makes sense. So there's some special rules about sentences, and I'm going to actually I'm going to show you what those rules are. Okay? So there are 4 rules. The first rule is a sentence always begins with a capital letter. The first letter is always a capital. Is this a capital T? No, it's not. So I made a new card, which I want you to do too. I want you to make a new card of the word the, and I want you to make it a capital T. So now I have the with a lowercase t and the with a capital T. So then every sentence begins with a capital letter. The sun is hot. Now every sentence also needs to have an end mark. All right, so we're going to use this, and most of the time we use an end mark that looks like this, and this is called a period, or in Bhutan a lot of people call it a full stop. So full stop. So most of the time we put full stops at the end of a sentence. So the sun is hot. And then at the end of the sentence you'll put a full stop. All right, so that's my sentence. The sun is hot. So the first rule of a sentence is it begins with a capital letter. The second rule is that it has to make sense. So let's practice that. What if I said it, I'm going to move the words around. Hot the sun is. Hot the sun is. Is that what we say? No, that doesn't make sense. So a sentence needs to make sense. That's rule number 2. Okay, then, so I'm going to move it back so that it makes sense. The sun is hot. All right, that makes sense. That's how we say it properly. So we're going to write it the same way. The third rule of a sentence is that you need a finger space between each word. So when you're writing in your English notebook or you're writing on a piece of paper, after you finish a word, you can hold your finger up and put it in between the word and then write the next word. So after each word, there is one finger space. So the, finger space, sun, finger space, is, finger space, hot. So that way there's a space between each word. And I'm going to just show you our story that we've been reading. You read this story a while ago about Nat. Nat is a cat. That's a capital letter. And then there's a finger space between each word. And it makes sense. Nat is a cat. That sentence makes sense. And at the end, the last rule, rule number 4, is that every sentence has an end mark. And the end mark we learned today is a full stop or a period. All right, so every sentence has to have an end mark. There's those 4 rules. A sentence begins with a capital letter. A sentence makes sense and is a complete thought. And the third one is a finger space between each word. And lastly, every sentence has an end mark, like a full stop, or we'll learn other end marks later. So you can see there's a full stop at the end of each sentence in your story. Oh, and there's another end mark. That's called a question mark. We'll learn about that next week. Full stop, full stop. So those are all very good sentences. So that is a sentence. I'm going to do some more practice sentences with you. So I'm going to take these off, and then we'll make another sentence, okay? And you can tell me if thumbs up if it makes sense, and thumbs down if it doesn't make sense. Okay. Has, hat, rat, the. Has, hat, rat, the. Does that make sense? Is it a complete thought? Yes or no? No, it is not. It doesn't make sense. The words are not in the proper order. So then I'm going to move them around, and then I'll show you what I was thinking about. So the, with the capital letter, the rat. I'm going to leave a finger space between each word. The rat has a hat. Now there's a finger space between each word too. Does that make sense? The rat has a hat. Does that make sense? Yes, it's a good sentence, but there's something missing. Here's a capital letter. It makes sense, but then at the end of every sentence there has to be an end mark. So here's my full stop. I'm going to put my full stop at the bottom, right there. So the rat has a hat. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to make one more sentence as practice, and then I'll tell you what your work is for today. Okay, so here's another sentence. I'm going to start with the. We use the all the time. The cat sat on his mat. Okay, the cat sat on his mat. All right, does that make sense? Is that a good sentence? Yes, it begins with a capital letter. Let's go over the 4 rules. The first rule, it begins with a capital letter. Good. It makes sense. The cat sat on his mat. It makes sense. The third rule, there's a finger space between each word. And then the 4th rule is that there's an end mark. So is there an end mark on my sentence? No. So I'm going to take my end mark, my full stop, and I'm going to put it at the end of my sentence. All right. So those are sentences. Okay? So next I'm going to tell you what your homework is with sentences. Okay, class 1, so that is what we have learned today about sentences. There's 4 rules. A sentence begins with a capital letter. A sentence is a complete thought and it has to make sense. A sentence has a finger space between each word, and a sentence always has an end mark. So those are the 4 rules of sentences. And now I'm going to go over your homework. So you'll need your English worksheet book, and then you'll also need your English notebook. All right, so you're going to do two different things, and then you'll send me pictures of your completed work. And I know you have to do, there's a lot of pages to do in your worksheet book, but they're pretty easy. So you're going to do page 59, it looks like this, and at the top it says, what is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words that tells a complete thought. A sentence always begins with a capital letter and always ends with a period or full stop. All right? So here it says, here are some more sentences. Circle the capital letter at the beginning and circle the period at the end. So there's 5 sentences. I want you to circle the capital letter and circle the period or the full stop. And then turn the page. And somebody can help you with this, okay? But don't let them do your work. I want you to do your work. And if you have any questions, you can ask your big person, okay? Then turn the page to page number 60. So you're going to do page number 60, and it's still what is a sentence. So circle each group of words below that is a sentence. All right, so there's 4 pictures and 4 sentences. Some of them are proper sentences. Some of them are not. All right, so let's go over it. She runs home. She runs home. Does it begin with a capital letter? Does it make sense? Does it have a space between each word? And does it have an end mark? And if it does, then you circle it. So this is a good sentence. So circle this picture. Now let's go to this one. Up the hill. Up the hill. It's not a complete sentence. Who's going up the hill? It doesn't say. It's just part of a sentence. So even though it does begin with a capital letter and it does have a full stop, it is not complete because who is going up the hill? So you don't need to circle that one. You can put an X on it. Calls to me. Calls to me. Is that a complete thought? No. So it's not a sentence. So you can put an X on it. All right. So then you're going to finish this page, and then you're going to go to page number 61. And there's lots of sentences here. And now once your big person can read the top to you and read the directions to you, and then I want you to circle all the capital letters and circle all the end marks, okay? And then your big person can read the directions. There's 2 more pages, okay? Then lastly, the last 2 pages, here your big person can read the directions, circle the capital letters, circle the period. Read these words. Have your big person read these words if you don't know them. Read these words, and if it's a good sentence, all 4 rules are there. It begins with a capital letter. It makes sense, it has a finger space, and has an end mark, then if it's good, tick right here on the line. If it's not a good sentence, you can put an X because it's not a good sentence. It doesn't keep the 4 rules of sentences. Then the last page you need to do is this one. Write the word that completes each sentence. So your mom and dad or your big person can help you finish what word is missing in the sentence. All right, so that's all the pages you need to do this is just practice in your English worksheets book. And then the second thing I want you to do is all of those flashcards you made. You've made so many flashcards at home with the add family, the at family, and your sight words. So I want you to make 2 more flashcards. One that says the, and one that has a full stop or a period on it. And then I want you just to move the cards around and make sentences. The cat sat. That's a sentence. And then put your full stop there. Okay? So then as you're using your flashcards and you're moving them around on the table, you can make sentences and your big person can check them and then write the sentences that you make in your English notebook. All right, so you have 2 things. Finish the pages with your English worksheets for practice. And then in your English notebook, use your flashcards to make your own sentences. And these you can send to Madam Colleen. All right, thank you, Class 1. And if any of you have questions, you can always send me a voice message and let me know. All right, bye-bye. Have a good day.